Good evening. How are you? I'm John Flannery, and instead of walk and talk, we're doing a sit and talk today. My cases got away from me, so I had to do those, and I've lost the light. So here I am. I want to be careful how we define how we won on Tuesday, because I think if we don't understand that, then we don't understand the possibility for success for our resistance of the autocratic preferences of Trump and his ghoulish allies. The earth change in political terms that we experienced on Tuesday didn't happen in a single day. And it's not a big democratic victory. And let me explain what I mean by that. It is a people's coalition that includes Democrats, but not all of them. I look to New York, for example. We have a mayoralty candidate who succeeded and was elected in New York, and he's touched like he's radioactive by some Democrats. That cannot stand. I heard others talk about how Democrats now should go for the center. Tuesday was not about the center. Tuesday wasn't even about Democrat versus Republican. Tuesday was about the greedy wealthy who in the past have understood they had a partnership with others. But now we have a billionaires club and they can't get enough, and Trump is giving it to them at the expense of the working middle class, and that's a range of people, and certainly to the detriment and danger of people who have a very fragile living system when it comes to food and housing and health. So this is a people's coalition, and we have to understand that. We are a coalition, it seems to me, of shared pain and dreams. The pain is the evaporation of liberty, the compromise of freedom, of thought, of expression, of food and housing that are affordable, and health care, without which people die sooner. In fact, it's even a choice to kill people in this indirect method by denying them the health care that they need. The Democrats, and to choose the strongest argument for the Democrats, has been Schumer, who has not shown him to be the most likely leader on this cause, to insist on a shutdown unless and until certain things are changed that include two of a number of things that concern all people. One is health care, and the other is food. So we are a coalition, and we have grown because we are composed of a lot of Democratic leaders, unfortunately not in the House and Senate, very few, but some terrific ones. Booker's one, Sandy's one. So we have those people, but then we have stars. I mean, the California governor came up with a proposal in like no time to fight the redistricting wrongful efforts of the Republicans starting in Texas, and said, we can get 5 seats here. And people didn't know, and Arnold Schwarzenegger opposed him, and other people scratched their heads, was it possible? And he did it. And see, that's a real leader. Pritzker in Illinois, he's a leader. The new mayor of New York, he's a leader. The governors, two outstanding and capable women for whom the time has come, the emergency to test their resolve and the ability to get it done. We have a woman from New Jersey and a woman from Virginia, and they have brought people along with them as a result of their effort. Do we define them by the party they ran on or by the message that they gave? And was that message a centrist message? I say it was not. There has not been a need for a message as powerful, as we've heard in this election, because I don't think in my lifetime we've had people as downright evil, unconscious, hurtful, harmful, discriminatory. Choose your adjectives. They're all of these things. That drives the values that we have, those of us who are active on Tuesday, because they're part of our being. We don't have cognitive disassociation. We don't hold in our head that you could be a person who believed in a popular government and you believe we should have a dictator. We believe in the people. We believe equal justice before the law. And that defines who we are in resisting, reforming, and throwing out of office Trump. So what we have is a situation in which even Pinocchio Trump had to admit that this was a major victory against him. But it was, as he saw it, a major victory that went for the nation, and it was a loss for himself. For others, not for him. He didn't cause it. He's not the reason they lost. Have you ever heard a more delusional person? Have you ever heard a person who thought he can spin a fantasy world and that will overcome the basic skill it takes to know what is the truth and what is not? And we're going to feel this pain every day we don't change his agenda. Because now we're going to see how the tariffs have raised our costs. People will soon see their taxes up because of it. They'll have trouble getting what they need in the grocery store. All of these things are before us. Now, the beat goes on. In this sense, a judge told Trump to pay the full SNAP funds, not half, the full amount. This is funds for children. There are Republican candidates out there, and in New York, there's one in particular, who circulated a thing calling anyone who is supportive of Tuesday, they're these evil extreme left, okay? So are you left when you think hunger is important, when you think housing is important, when you think health is important, education is important, opportunity is important, freedom is important, equal rights of the law? Paint me as serious liberal if all those define what a liberal is. And then tell me what it is if you're a Republican and you're on the other side of all of these things. In fact, you campaign against DEI, meaning you are against people joining together. You are discriminating. And apparently you're discriminating for males of a certain age and of a certain type, not even for women. And the males have to be white, and then everybody else is suspect. People who talk are suspect. But the population gets it. There was a fella who protested by throwing his sandwich at an agent. He was a Justice Department employee or person, and he got fired or suspended. And they tried to indict him for a felony, and the grand jury wouldn't do it. So then they thought, well, we can charge him with a misdemeanor, and they did. And he just got acquitted for it. That is the statement of the people. Those people who did that were not Democrat. They were not independent. They were not any. They were the people. They were we the people. They were at the basic essence of who we are and why we fight for this. Not because of any of these political labels, because they move. It's like trying to pick up mercury once it hits the ground. And should you do it, you would compromise your own health and well-being. So that's what we're dealing with. So will Trump pay the full SNAP? Oh, he probably won't. But every time he does something wrong, we pile on and we chase him. We chase him in the courts. We chase him in the public avenues. We chase him with our speaking and our writing, the small amounts of money that we give to the groups that fight them. Benefits. You think he'd figure that out himself? You think he would say, well, that happened. I'll say it's everybody else. It's not me. And I'll start doing things that show I'm different. And we have time. We have enough runway between now and the midterm elections. He's also intolerant of transgender people. And the Supreme Court that he chose 6-3 were against treating people with respect for the choices they make in life. Or they find themselves, and in a sense, it's not so much a choice as it is a discovery of who you are. There are a couple of interesting examples even on this day. You probably are familiar with Nancy Pelosi. I think everybody is. Now, I had the opportunity to work on Capitol Hill and as Chief of Staff and Special Counsel to Zoe Lofgren, who represents Silicon Valley, a portion of it, and so therefore is entangled in the California approach to politics. And so I was lucky enough to have opportunities to see her in the party caucus, which is not public, in the floor of the House, the hallways, and visited her at her home in California when she hosted a reception there. She was a leader, and she was a fighter, and she fought for the underdog as well as for those who were well off. She had found a way to wield a compromise between the wealthy and the not so wealthy. Was it imperfect? Yes. Did she make mistakes? Yes. But she was in the fight. I thought she was slow to impeachment, but once she got into it, it was clear that she wanted to get it right, just right. And the issues that struck her were so fundamental to her definition of what a country is about. You know, we don't do quid pro quo and make up investigations with the head of the head of the party in Ukraine, with Zelensky, and we don't look kindly upon efforts to overthrow our government. And she was there, a leader in both of those fights and more. She was slow to impeach, but she was careful to get it right. Trump is the iconic man without class or dignity. He called her today an evil woman. She leaves office with the wind of an historic victory filling her sails. She has nothing to apologize about. Life puts you in a position to make difficult choices. And if you do each one as best you can, and you do it faithful to your character, then you've lived a life that's a work of art. It's a model for others. It is distinguishable from those who are in the rule of thumb world, who take what they want for themselves, no matter the cost to anybody else, no matter how it appears. Sure, we take care of ourselves, but in taking care of ourselves, we learn and do help others. And if we're not doing that, our life is an empty experience. You might say, well, do I do it with strangers? Well, it may start with strangers, but it might start with your own child, or your brother, or your sister, or a grandfather. It could be anything that teaches you that you're not in this alone. And if you pay attention and are honest, anything that you've done in life, somewhere along the line, somebody has critically said to you, why don't you try this? Or recognized that you had an ability and helped you. And we're not talking great heroism. We're not talking petty things either. There are things in our life that by the nature of life make us stand out as empathetic to other people, as caring for other people. And for that reason, we live in dignity. So thanks, Nancy. You are great. And so are we by the fact that we associated with her victories and her efforts, and that she's a woman in a body that wasn't so comfortable having women as leaders, not as she made her way. And it may have seemed, and I've said this before, like an implausible path, but each thing she took by instinct, by knowledge, by training, brought her to the heights of leadership in this nation and respected around the world. So those are a few things I have. There's a personal story I get a kick out of. The fellow who threw the sandwich at the agent, there was an act of protest. It was no doubt impulsive and no doubt honestly generated. And it also says something for the one that he threw the sandwich at, that it was on some level accepted as a protest. Now, and I think the grand jury did the right thing because they didn't trust the government and they didn't think the case should be prosecuted. And so did both a grand jury and a petit jury decided that. A long time ago, I was AUSA, and I was prosecuting a case. And the case involved a lawyer, young lawyer, who was bringing cocaine into America from South America in wine bottles. In fact, what they did was they brought in the base, and then they turned it into a salt with chloride when it arrived in America. And he was using litigation bag, and he actually had an agreement for how they were going to do it. So I ended up prosecuting that case with a couple of different assistants, including Rudy Giuliani, who was a very different person back when we were assistant U.S. attorneys. He was 2 years ahead of me in the office, and we had a lot of work together, and I'm very disappointed to whatever has happened to him since. But one evening on the east side of New York, I was in a restaurant, and the sister of the guy I was prosecuting came up, and she poured a drink on my head. And yes, I was taken by surprise, but, it wasn't such a big deal. Of course, when I told the officers I thought I should report to them, some wanted to subpoena her to the grand jury, begin an obstruction investigation. And when you leave the U.S. Attorney's Office, they have a roast. And you get a chance to answer, but they've had a chance to prepare something and they deliver it. And one of the things was this, and they talked about how I got a drink thrown on me. I guess I was from the same. Since I wasn't the actor, I wasn't protesting, but the sister was. And we'd seen her, and we had even thought about what was her role in the whole case. But I don't know. It just seemed understandable. And I didn't have a lot of money then. I don't have a lot of money now either. But I only had a couple of suits, so the cost to me was trying to clean that suit, which I did. So what I'm saying is the expanse of how we protest and what goes forward has to be kept in a proportion that makes sense. We have to build upon what we did on Tuesday in terms of this tsunami of intelligence and resistance and an appetite to get on with the future in a constructive way instead of what we've suffered. So that's what I got for the evening. I hope you're well, and I hope I get out to walk tomorrow. All the best. Bye-bye.